Hello everybody, Carol Garrison here with Carol's Creative Escape. It is Monday, May 19th, which means it's time for another Make It Monday. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm so grateful to have every one of you here watching, whether it's on replay or going live here today. Doesn't matter to me, it's all the same. I'm just in the process of setting up, my iPad, make sure I'm in the right place. Had to turn my volume down on that. Sorry about it. I hope everybody's had a great week. I am coming to you live from White Bear Lake, Minnesota, and I have been a card maker for over 30 years, starting with some very basic dry embossing with the stencils and the light table and the little stylus, advancing to rubber stamping, and then all of the other things that we can now do as paper crafters, making cards, embossing, dry embossing, heat embossing, all sorts of fun techniques. Anyhow, I am here. I am not associated or affiliated with any company. I'm not selling you anything. My whole goal is to show you how to make cards and find that creative spot inside of you. I know that for some of us it's hard to find that or think that our work is worthy of sharing with anyone, and I'm here to tell you that it is, and I'm hoping that I can help you find that creative spot back inside of you. I know in my storied history on making cards, that got lost for a while, and I was grateful to be introduced to making cards and kind of finding where my talents fell relative to other people. And my goal is to simply spread joy one card at a time, either by giving a card to someone, receiving a card for someone, which can make me very happy as well, and then also showing people how to make cards and find that creative talent amongst or inside of themselves. And tonight I am going to show you just how to do that, kind of going back to basics with keeping it simple. If you watch my videos, you know I enjoy those fun folds. I enjoy sometimes the little more challenging cards. But in the end, I like cards that carry a lot of wow, but don't take a lot of work. And tonight, that's what I'm going to share with you, and just using some very basic paper crafting supplies. I hope that you all have had a great 2 weeks. I was not able to go live last week. I was actually in the Denver, Colorado area for a week for business. Unfortunately, didn't get to leave my hotel to do much beyond walking around the resort grounds that we were at. It was beautiful. It was 85 degrees. It was a great conference to be attending. I'm very lucky that I was able to go to it. But it did mean I was away from home for 4 or 5 days in the process. So anyhow, I'm back here live tonight, and I'm going to flip my camera over so that we can get going. And I'll show you how to make this card here. Pardon me while I am doing the flipping. And hi Lori, thanks for joining in tonight. I really appreciate that. And now you can see my lovely ceiling. So there we go. And I'm going to try. You know, if anybody's got tips for an easy way, no, that's not what I wanted to do. For getting your phone to increase its picture size. It used to be so simple for me, and now I feel like I struggle doing that. And so I'm gonna keep working on it. I need to practice, I think, a couple times and see kind of what's happening here. I am gonna plug my phone in because I've had it charging up, thinking that's what I've been doing, only to discover that the other end of my phone charger was not plugged into anything. There we go. Kind of a Monday. I just got it to get bigger. Let's see if it catches up. We don't want to go quite that big. This is good. All right. I'm also going to warn you that we have a bit of thunder rumbling through here right now. I don't think it's going to create any issues. We're not supposed to be getting any severe weather. But it does sound like it's just started to rain. So hopefully we get through this before anything would prevent us. All right, so one of the other things that I'm doing is using my paper stash. I did sell stamping products for 10 years, 11 years, and as you might imagine, I have quite a few supplies left over, or accumulated. We're not going to say leftover. So one of the things I'm really trying to do is use up those paper supplies. And I think you're going to see that with some of the papers that I'm using tonight. You may even recognize a few of those. So let's go ahead and I'm going to show you the card layout that I'm using. And it's a very, very simple, basic layered one. Here's kind of a fun, festive birthday card. And inside I've used some of the same paper just to decorate that inside piece. You will notice that even on my basic white cards, I do add another layer of cardstock for writing on. The only reason I do that is to add a little bit of support and strength to the card. And then I did another one. This is using cream or vanilla paper as my card base. And this fun orange and lemon paper. And again, I've decorated the inside of my card with a little bit of paper. Sometimes it's fun to do that. A little trick here, normally I would use a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of cardstock for the inside of my card. But I had this perfect little square, but it was 3 inches, 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So I had a nice square. So I just cut a 1-inch strip and butted it up next to it, and you wouldn't know that it's any different size than this piece, which is the full 5 1/4 by 4. So sometimes that's a cheat if you don't have a full piece of cardstock for the inside of a card. Just cheat and decorate. This is some of my all-time favorite paper with this little turtle. I love, love, love the smile on this turtle's face. Just the way it looks at the camera kind of is just a little smirk. And I'm just making this a hello card because I kind of think I can see it knocking on the glass or whatever, saying hello, hello. And again, inside I just decorated it with a little bit of scraps of my paper. I've actually got 5 examples to show you tonight. This is kind of a fun bright colored one, and I've just used just a note, kind of layered my circle. I did pop my circle up on dimensions, as well as these 3. The sentiment is popped up. And on this card, I just stamped directly on to the cardstock, designer paper. And I noticed afterwards it kind of looks like I've got a little mistake here. That's actually just where the stem connected on the orange. It was not great stamping on my part location-wise. I could have moved it over just a titch, maybe, and covered that up. But that's all that spot is. Anyhow, here's another card using some bright colored paper, and I actually used colored cardstock on this one. And again, decorated the inside of my paper with inside of the card with just a couple strips of paper. So I thought that was kind of cute too, doing it in color. And then finally, I've got a masculine type birthday card here using the very vanilla or cream colored cardstock as my card base, and a more masculine designer series paper. So to make this card, I'm going to give you the measurements. It measures 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, and you're going to score it at 4 1/4. This one is actually 4 1/4 by 11, so either shape will work for you. What I didn't do, and kind of wish I had, is provided one sample where I had it going this way and opening up this way as opposed to making them all horizontal. You can do it. Just cut your designer paper if it's got a pattern to it so it's going in the right direction. I just didn't, I guess, think about that when I was planning it. So then for the inside of the card, again, I've got a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of cardstock, and I've just taken a 1/2 inch strip of some of the designer series paper that I'm using to decorate the base of my card. I also have a piece of 4 by 5 this is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, so we're getting just a real tiny border of the card base showing through. And then this next layer here measures, so it'd be this size, measures 2 7/8 by 4 3/8. And then you need to cut 2 pieces of designer series paper. So your first piece is going to be 5 1/4 by 4, and the second piece that you need will be 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. And you can, of course, alter those just a little bit. I liked the way the layer look was there. And then I also had, I swear, I was all ready yesterday. I'm so proud of myself. I even had my work area clean, so you all could see a clean work area if my camera didn't shrink down. And I'll be darned now, I can't find my thanks. I did it on this green paper, even in I dry embossed or heat embossed it with copper foil. Here it is. And that's just a scrap. And then I also have a scrap of Very Vanilla, and it's cream. It does, I will admit, have a little score line right down the middle of it. But by the time I put this on here, that score line isn't going to show at all. And it just happened to be the perfect size that I needed for my paper. So I'm not worrying about the score line even. So to make the card, and again, this is just scrap, whatever size you need for your sentiment. I've got it rectangle here. I've got a little one. On this one, I actually stamped it on white and cut around it. And then I cut out, I attached it to a piece of the blue paper, and then I cut around that. So there is a slight shadow of the blue cardstock behind my hello. It's just cut out a little bit bigger than the stamped image is. Here's one where I just did the circle, and then this one is a slightly bigger rectangle than that one. So I just kind of kept consistent with the thin margins, borders around my stamps, so that was consistent on all of the cards. But you can do whatever you want with that. So to start with, we're going to take our card base and we're going to fold it along the score line, and then take our bone folder and burnish it, just so we get a good crease to it. And then, like I said, I did decorate this already, and I'm just going to adhere it to the inside of my card. You don't have to decorate it, or you could stamp or whatever you want to do, but to me, this was more than enough for the card. And so we will adhere this to the inside of the card. And again, I like to look at my opposite corners. If they're even, then these two corners will be even as well. So the inside of the card, boom, it's done. Then the next thing we're going to do is create all of our layers. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'll start with my sentiment. And this is going to be just a thank you card. Again, very basic, keeping it simple. This is probably the most stepped up card that I made because I actually did do heat embossing. But as you can tell by my other cards, you basically need paper, a stamp for whatever sentiment you want, and then designer paper that's going to coordinate in the two layers. And you can, it can be two very different patterns. It can be a solid color behind patterned paper, or it can be a patterned paper with a patterned paper. Here again, I did more of a solid pattern with the turtles as the design. Totally up to you, but I would bet if you looked in your stash, or if you have some new supplies, I'm pretty confident you're going to have paper there that's going to work. All right, so I'm just going to add this layer of my designer paper onto this. And again, like I said, I kind of follow my look at opposite corners. If they match, then so will the other corners. Now I got a cat climbing onto all my stuff. So I landed back in the Twin Cities last Thursday from Denver, and it was pretty funny because we'd been watching for storms, figuring we might have a slightly bumpier flight back in. And at one point, we thought we might get diverted from the storms, but we did not. And instead, the next announcement we heard is were prepared for landing. They did make the flight crew stay buckled into their jump seats, so they weren't allowed to do some of the normal pre-checking that they do. And as soon as we landed and people's phones came off of airplane mode, it hit just as emergency sirens were going off to alert us to potential tornado activity in our area. So the whole plane was just that kind of sound with the alarms. But actually, it was one of the smoother flights I've had for landing, and even in terms of turbulence, we got bumped just a teeny bit, but not a lot, for which I was grateful because I don't enjoy that a whole lot as a flyer. And then I'm just down to, we've put our layers on, and I'm just down to this, and I think I am going to put this up on dimensionals just to make it pop out a little bit. But fortunately, for where I am, again, we miss some of the really severe weather. Unfortunately for those to the east of us, that wasn't the case for some. But I am grateful that we were able to land safely and miss the worst of the storm. And I'm just going to put my little thank you stamp sentiment right down in the corner so that a lot of that is still showing through and not being blocked. And that, my friends, is how you make a simple card with your layers. So again, I will repeat measurements. You can do what you want with them. 5.5 by 8.5, score at 4 1/4, or 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5.5, whatever is your preferred. This card will go horizontal or vertical. I just don't have, this is, if I had changed my happy birthday sentiment, this is the closest it would come. So just pretend this is rotated 90 degrees. It will work layout wise going in either direction. Mine happened to all be horizontal this time. So we've got a thank you card, a birthday card, a hello card, just a note card, thanks, and another masculine version birthday card. So easy to make. It's great for using up scraps because it doesn't do a whole lot. And honestly, if you have a designer series paper that you're using that the front and back will coordinate for this card, save some paper and make sure you cut this piece out of this piece. You'll need to be careful to center it really well before you start doing cutting. And that's because this layer of cardstock, I'll show you, it shows up more on this one. This dark green layer of cardstock that I've got is going to be slightly bigger than the opening that you create to cut out this piece. And so you could, if you were short on paper or you wanted to use both sides and be frugal with your paper, which there's nothing wrong with that, you could cut that piece, but you'd want to just make sure that you have it centered. If you're going to do that, just to avoid any issues, I would try to find a layering rectangle stamp that you can use so that you can get that stacking. Your measurements might change just a teeny bit with that, but that would be an option if you wanted to conserve paper. So it's a shorter video tonight. Look at that. It was only about 28 minutes so far, even with me chatting. So go ahead, give this card a try. If you do make it, please be sure to share a picture in the comments because I think we can all inspire each other with our creativity. And then I do just want to remind people that Facebook has changed their policy on how long they keep videos. We used to be able to keep them forever, basically. And understandably so. They've got storage issues, I'm sure, driving this decision, just as we do on some of our equipment. And so they're no longer letting videos stay on endlessly. They are deleting them after 30 days. So one of the things that I am doing is uploading all of my videos from here into YouTube. That way they will always be available. I am doing my best to share that link in the comments of each of my videos on Facebook as I create them. What is good about that is because I have a very limited window of time to do this, it is making me do it pretty much within the week of getting those videos posted. But just know that any video you're watching here live on Facebook, you will also be able to find on my YouTube channel, which is Carol's Creative Escape with Carol Garrison on YouTube. So thank you so much. I hope that you're enjoying this video, that it's encouraging you to use up some of your stash. and we will see you all next week. Be safe, everyone. Bye-bye.